Hello all, and welcome to another production of the Single H
I
Show.
demand that we keep going.
Your name is...
You want to start over?
No, your
leave it.
name is...
My name is... My name is stepping into puberty. Your name is...
Hunter Mills.
My name is Michael Davis. Your voice cracked at the worst time. You sounded like Peter Brady in that one episode of the Brady Bunch.
I'm like, wait, that did not sound correctly. That sounded like...
Hello, everybody. This is Single H. That's going to be a new character. There's Mad Single H, and then there's Puberty Awareness Single H.
No correction, that is Old Man Single H.
And Old Man Mills.
Yeah, that's
So
Old
there's
Man...
three.
No, Old Man Mills did Mad Single H.
Old Man Mills is Mad Single H?
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome to the Single H Show.
Well, while we tried to figure out our own
Canon, we're going to go ahead and step into the reason why we record this podcast that almost started to sound like an episode of the Single H Show Half-Hour Power Hour, but this is the Single H Show, and we have a very, even with the silly shenanigans at the beginning, we do have a very important announcement today as we record this. It is October the 26th, and this will probably be posted this evening, if not very early in the morning on the 27th. And October 26th is National
Transgender Kids Visibility Day.
Visibility Day.
Yeah.
Single H. Advocate.
Basically, it's like going, hey, there's a lot of bad things going on in the country, law-wise, especially on transgender kids. And, hey, we're going to raise awareness to make sure that more of these do not go through. And that wanting to exist. And not being discriminated for that.
Yes. So we're gonna break some myths today on Transgender Children's Visibility Day. We are going to break down some things that we have shared multiple weeks on this show because certain political leaders say them and they're just absolutely not true.
Yep.
And we also want to point out that within this politically driven rhetoric are dear children who just want to be accepted. And go ahead.
Are in the full crossfire and are the people in the middle being fired upon.
Yes, and within all of that, I have watched the bullying from a national level with national politicians. I've watched them in state levels as different states begin to pass red laws that protect, that limit, restrict gender-affirming care. And I'm going to make a huge statement about gender-affirming care. And then I look at it at the local level, from school boards fighting about transgender issues and the bullying that happens at school boards that filters all the way down to the kids in the classrooms.
Yep. Without fail.
Without fail. So today on National Transgender Children's Visibility Day, I would like for you to take a few moments. This may even become a solo voice podcast. Vomit on what you need, why it's important, the support of your friends. On your mark, get set. It's all you.
Basically, in the United States of America, we are currently in a dead middle type of country. Half are full red states, half are blue at the moment.
All 81 states, as the chairman of the Republican National Convention shared. All 81 states.
Lovely. Can
Moron.
Can you count the map? Can you count the map, honey? You need
They
help?
have been in 31 other states.
Do you need help?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna let you have solo voice. I'll stop.
Alright.
I'll stop commentating.
Um,
You're in the middle is where you're
okay.
at.
As currently as a country, we are split in two. That no matter what, that election will either cause a spike in one of the other. And we don't want it to spike on the other. And with the going on with the day coming 2 weeks from election,
November the 5th, friends.
2 weeks from election day. The day is important because we are saying the truth amidst all the lies that are being spread by a small few.
Or a vast many.
Or a vast many.
Yeah. So I do want to add something to that. I made a statement on Facebook the other day that I would like to share on this podcast. Is this election, how you vote says a lot about you. If you vote one side, you're a person that are voting for what you love, because there is only one voice that is talking about how to raise others up and care for them, or you are voting for what you hate. And there is visibly one voice that has been hate-driven throughout this campaign, attacking vulnerable communities, not just LGBTQIA+, but definitely immigrants, our friends transitioning from other countries. And believe me, that it's mild, but when you hear a statement that I've done more things than Abraham Lincoln, there is a racial element that has also been visible if you're paying attention. So this upcoming election really does iron out to, you're either a person that are voting for what you love or you're voting for what you hate. And we need more love right now because there are too many marginalized friends who are suffering.
Yet, and I imagine if the other person goes through that, we'll even see higher spikes of suicide amongst all of the communities that are marginalized. All of them. Without fail, we'll probably see an increase because the laws are going to start becoming countrywide, and we do not want that. We do not need that. And it would be directly affecting all the children they're claiming to protect.
Yes. So let's talk about that. This podcast is, I've tried to walk a tightrope on this podcast, but
I don't care enough anymore.
But what I want to say is, I've done that because of my career as a pastor, but I'm going to make a statement right now. Any activity of transgender media is not connected to my career. Even though transgender media does produce a podcast for the worship center that I work on, the views of transgender media do not reflect wholly my career. So now, anything on a transgender media podcast I can say.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop saying the other guy.
Yeah.
If you vote for Trump, the only reason that you're voting for him is he hates something that you do. I do not see any other reason to vote for him other than he hates something you hate. And for that reason, if you're even contemplating voting for him, you need to really evaluate your journey.
Yeah. And if anything, even though Trump allegedly said he's not a part of Project 2025, he had their wires that prove that he is.
And there's conversations that he's been a part of. There's people that he works directly with that are in authorship of the document. And the one thing that I really love, he says he has the concept of a plan. He has a plan, but he has a concept of a plan. Well, what he can't say is he has a plan and it's Project 2025, and also say he doesn't know anything about Project 2025.
Yep.
So, my feelings are, here comes the magic words, because I have to have that. My feelings are, this magical plan that he has, but can't say it, is Project 2025.
Yep.
A document that's going to restrict women's rights. It's going to restrict cultural and ethnic rights. And it's outwardly anti-trans and anti-LGBTQ equality.
Yep. And let's go watch any trans YouTuber. They have something on it. Because they've gone into the document. There's so much transphobia in it that every time that my brain is like, okay, even though we can't vote, we still need to know what's going on because Trump is running again, and we need to be prepared and get ready to have plans coming out all around.
Well, the whole battle within this thing, Hunter, is also the role of the government is to care for all of its citizens, not just the ones that can vote for it. And all of its citizens exist, very vulnerable children that Trump has actively, visibly shown no care or interest for. I watched a Senate, it may have been a congressional, but it may have been a Senate vote on food care for at-need families, for at-need children. No Republican voted in favor of it. None. Not one.
Because that falls into the empathy category.
Well, it shows where the priorities are. You have a political group that wants to remove abortions because they're pro-life, but they won't do anything to care for the lives that they're making exist.
So...
Let me say one thing real quick.
Yeah.
Because I can't leave that sitting there. Now, here, I need everyone to know where I'm at. I do not believe in abortion as birth control. I don't. I think that we should educate our friends in birth control, in all forms of sexual contraceptions, so that there's not unwanted pregnancies. If we spend more time educating, we don't have unwanted pregnancies. And then the other end is there's people who are going to die if they give birth.
And loves, they will do it if people are in debt, or when it's in the first couple of weeks when they're not a continent yet in the egg. So they're not harming anything, taking it out for the person who is birthing to feel good. Yeah. They're not harming anything because no matter what, they normally have a range already for doctors to go, this is a good time for these to happen, for no harm to happen.
And those things come from doctors and not politicians.
Yep.
And within that, there's a lot of harm. You cannot tell me that you're pro-life if you force a preteen girl to give birth to a baby that has been raped. That destroys her life. It destroys her life mentally, as being a target of sexual abuse, and then being forced to live with the results of that sexual abuse. That is not pro-life. Back to you. Let's talk about transgender kids again.
So, going back to the suicide part, I'm expecting if Trump wins we're going to see a massive increase, and maybe, if there is, maybe it will clock people the other direction to see that it's doing bad. If they can't, loves, there's been a lot of fake infamy going around.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
And that even though people act sometimes like the laws don't directly affect kids, they do, and arguably in the most capacity.
All laws affect children.
They argue it, and arguing like that, I'm like, they probably have the most effect on children, and especially in Project 2025, they do. They're mostly aimed toward children.
Yes.
They directly affect.
Well, it's not mostly aimed towards children, but the things that they are aimed for, when children are dealing with them, it has a heightened effect because of the emotional growth that's still taking on. I think is what you're trying to say. And I want to add into that. There's nothing that comes out of this is a Republican agenda that ever allots for the importance of education.
Yep.
Within what I shared about abortions. If we educated, if we made contraception more easily available, unwanted pregnancies would decrease because of education. And we still have to deal with the abuse issues and the rape issues, but they're still there.
Yeah.
I keep cutting you off.
Sometimes I wish at my school that I had to take about when it's the last 2 weeks of the year in science and they need to talk about the human body system and talk about genitals. If they had to go, hey, here's some of our trans kids that we know, maybe we could ask them if they want a different teacher go on it for them to see what would happen if they wanted transition and for them to be more prepared for everything.
Yes.
Because that is one thing that our education system currently failed with. Pretty much everywhere it's going. The oppressive side of the government going no, and them wanting to play safe, not providing kids with all the lessons that they need to survive and become responsible and know what's going on with their body at all times.
Yeah. And maybe not playing safe, but in sometimes just absolutely restricted from teaching things that they wish they could.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it is the full education of it all that helps it. So I want to differentiate something.
Yeah, I would like more covering how kind of in blue state they're kind of, because the oppressive side, they are playing it safe. That's kind of the angle that I would going at.
Well, and we live in California, which is a blue state. And there is, you are right, there are friends that are trying to play it safe. But there's still a political wall that's built up around them. Because even though that we live in blue states, we exist within red pockets.
Yeah.
And where my worship center right now is a red pocket. Where we live is a red pocket.
Yeah.
And there is this fight against full education that limits teachers from being able to share this information that kids know, and for them to know about themselves and grow within themselves. And I challenge anybody that says it's not the school's job to teach these things. Schools have taught sex education since before I went to school.
Yeah.
So it has always been a part of the educational process to teach these things. But now we know more. But instead of teaching what we've grown into knowing, it's become this, we're not going to teach about it at all, which leaves every kid at risk
Yeah.
from the knowledge of how to care for themselves.
Yeah, that it feels like, even like I've felt it a couple times whenever I'm kind of like, except one time in middle school going, hey, something went wrong. At my current school, something in the bathroom. Nothing really happened from it, even though there's security cameras in there and they could have told quite easily.
I seriously
They're
doubt there's
afraid.
security cameras in your bathroom.
No, like the doorway into
Okay,
it.
at the doorway into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that they could have saw who went in before me and got that solved.
Yeah.
But schools are afraid of protecting kids in discriminatory community that they can't do that.
Yeah.
And it's really bad.
So let's go back to the educational process of it.
Yeah.
If we get into just biology,
Yeah.
there is a physical biology that needs to be taught.
Yeah.
There is a
Hormones.
mental psychology
Yep.
that mental biology
Yep.
that needs to be taught, and I meant to say psychology. But
Yeah.
then there's also emotional journey. And
Yeah.
if we look at physical, mental, and emotional health, it tears all this weight down. And the only arguments that you hear is physical health. Boys have penises and girls have vaginas. That's all you hear. That's the physical.
Well, even if you look on the chromosome side, who did say that boy doesn't have XX?
Yeah.
Who did say that girl or anyone might have XY, even though their body did not contain to the sex that they taught you connected to it in your high school science class?
Yeah.
It's easy to look up studies. Sometimes it's even fun if they're not 80 pages long.
Mm-hmm.
You can find them. You can find people who summarize them, who will give you the source information to the primary. It's easy to learn about biology. You have technology. It's at your fingertips. Use it.
So then it grows out of the biological into the mental.
Yes.
And so a lot of places push at mental health. And that's why there's a lot of misinformation that comes out that transgender or LGBTQ is a mental issue. It's not a mental issue.
It's not. It is a deep emotional feeling that you go, I am not that. For you do not call me that.
Yeah. And that gets into the emotional health that very few people want to get into. And now
Yeah.
I want to share. Now we can attack red states all we want, but blue states, any state care at all, has never been efficient at dealing or caring with emotional health. Politics has always dropped the ball on
Yeah.
emotional health across the board.
They never fully help. Now back to trans kids at the moment. A lot of trans kids, including myself, do have a diagnosed mental illness. Not because we are trans, but because of the circumstances around us that cause our brain to go, we need these pathways because I have generalized anxiety. My brain literally had pathways that will make my brain go, what if something from over there happened, to keep me protected at all times. My brain shouldn't have to make those pathways for me to be safe. That is not a good thing. If you have kids in the marginalized communities who have depression, has anxiety, and has Bates trauma disorders. It's the circumstances around the child, not the child itself or themselves. Anyway, it is not the child. It is the circumstance around them that causes disorders.
Mm-hmm. And the circumstances around them that limits them from growing into themselves, or the circumstances around them that it doesn't just limit them, but actually attacks them for their journeys.
Regularly.
So I want to break into one more thing.
Yeah.
And then one of the things that's really at risk is transgender care, is gender affirming care. And I messed up. I meant to say gender affirming care.
Yeah, it's gender affirming care. That's what it is. It's not sex change surgery.
Yeah.
It's gender affirming care that
Yeah.
had 3 main steps that I'm going to run down before you say your next statement.
Please do that.
You have the therapy wise that starts way before. It's usually a good couple of years because they're double checking and they normally do a prep couple of, like, we had 3 months for me before because they wanted to double check at questions. They wanted to double check by, like, checking through, like, memories I had, where do these feelings come from? And then there is the hormone side that you can go back on if you go back early enough. Well, before that, there are puberty blockers before you go on hormone. This is stopping the hormone from coming through, giving the child or person enough time to figure it out. And then they hop on the hormones. And then if they want off, they figure out they want off in a couple of weeks, there's no effect. But the farther down you go, more effect will stay with you in your body. Lastly, surgery. There's another trip to therapy for, I bet, another 3 months before you can even touch the step, and they're gonna double and triple check you once you got there to make sure you don't regret it. There is a less than a 1% chance of regretting getting gender-affirming surgeries that I have to say it's smaller than getting a tattoo.
More people regret getting tattoos than gender affirming surgeries. And
Yeah.
one other fact that you need to add into that too, in the surgery parts, is the fact that no child without their parents' permission has gender affirming surgery. And even within that, it's almost no child ever has gender affirming surgery.
Yep.
Yeah. There's one more thing that I want to talk about with gender affirming care. And this is it. And I want every Republican to hear what I'm about to say. We have limited this conversation to a transgender transition for gender affirming care, but it's more than that. And Republicans, if you're honest with what you're doing, you need to be aware of one thing. And I'm going to be risque and a little straight shooter with this. All of you Republican leaders that take your little blue pills before you go fooling around with your 25-year-old interns, your little blue pills are gender-affirming care. You can't get a hard-on as an adult, so you take a pill and it affirms your male identity and you get a hard-on. Your little blue pills are gender-affirming care. If you're wearing toupees, that's gender-affirming care. If you've ever had a chin lift or a tummy tuck, it's gender-affirming care. Don't target transgender without realizing everything.
Don't target trans people because it will affect you. Because guess what? We use the same things you do to become ourselves and feel affirmed.
And you guys taking your little blue pills to fool around with your little 25-year-old interns, that's gender affirming care. So just hold on to that. And I think that's a good place to stop.
Yep.
We were going to talk about Halloween today, but we can do that next week.
Yeah, we'll have 2 fun episodes. We'll have the Single 8 show will be fun, and the Half Hour Power Hour will be fun.
So that's the Single 8 show for this week.
Your name is
Michael Davis. Your name is
Hunter Mail Jaw. Have a great week.